I have been grounded to the corner. So, ladies, I'm going to focus on your menstrual cycle rose. I don't know why that makes sense to me. But I did write a poem after walking backwards from it in the dark. And I will be getting that published as soon as my English teacher helps me. And that poem dictates every weird thing that I feel should be talked about in society in certain aspects, like mental illness, social problems, and religion problems. Just I don't even know. I haven't even organized that yet. On what aspects of my poem need to be talked about in what parts of society. But I know that I no longer have the need to explain weird things. Like I've got my categories organized, and I still hear a lot of weird shit on the radio, on the television, like, and they mess with me. And like I probably could come up with some logical explanation why their imagination made sense, but I don't want to, because I want to stay in the corner with the menstrual cycle period, rose, whatever. But unfortunately, the one I married is gone, and my lawyer happened to like. I think this was before he read about me saying a lady's period is like a rose, but he's like, "You've gone off the deep end. Like, what's going on?" So I have an outline of everything I'm going to use in court, because like imaginal psychology is a real thing. Look it up. I have an article here about it that's credible somewhere. I don't know where it is here. And I'm not going to tell you what the article is because I don't want people researching it. But this article right here is about imaginal psychology. And pretty much, imaginal psychology reclaims soul as psychologists' primary concern. The soul expresses itself in images. I got all sorts of lovely, lovely shit in this. I haven't even read it all. Like, I damn near highlighted the whole thing. But all the weird shit I put into that, well, it's not even all the weird shit that I have ever said can be organized into that poem, forgot about because, like, stuff's dropped off. And then I can eventually organize which parts of this poem pertain to which aspects of society, which I don't want to do that, but I'll make a note. That's sad. So this is what I have to do, because I'm starting to organize it. Like, it probably will never fully be organized because I don't have enough time on Earth to finish unless they actually transfer my consciousness into a robot. But I need to pertain parts of my poem to certain aspects of society involving the human condition. The sad part about that is the human condition is sometimes imaginary and totally not real. Like, there are people's condition that is false because of lack of money, lack of resources, lack of family. And it's not needed. We need to raise and just, no, we don't need to raise. We need to demolish and get rid of some of the human conditions that exist on this planet. So I don't know if there are categories of human conditions. There may or may not be. I will look at it. I will look into that some other time, but not now while I'm doing this video. But it says here, the relative neglect of indigenous knowledge about soul and lost soul of myth, ritual, and story is part of the gap that remains to be bridged with modern day society. And I added that with modern day society part. But this is my goal. I will bridge modern day psychology with imaginal psychology, so we go back to the way we used to treat the mentally ill when we worried about their soul first. The mind cannot be healthy, even with medication, if the soul is not healthy first. Period. Period. It just doesn't work. That's why America sucks with the psychiatric system. Because the psychiatric system is messed up, people's perception of the mentally ill have made them have opinions and judgments of others that are not true, because we are not worried about the soul here. We're worried about the mind. And the mind is going to be crazy if the soul is not healthy. And then people are going to think these people are crazy and not care about their soul. And you wonder why so many mass shootings happen in countries. I don't know what countries they all happen in. I don't really pay attention to the news. But these people are spiritually sick. And there is a such thing as mental illness gone too far, because these people did not get the help that they should have gotten. Lack of love, lack of relationships, lack of family, lack of money, lack of resources, lack of schooling, lack of shelter, lack of food, lack of water, lack of being able to express themselves properly without people thinking that they're crazy and violent. A lot of people that you think are crazy and violent and creepy are probably not. Probably not. And these people are going to stop being creepy when I give my word out that her period is like a rose. Because it is because of man, not female, that this planet goes to war. We don't go to war over females. You don't see females starting wars. These are male government officials that are starting the wars. Period. Period. What does that tell you about men? They don't know. They don't know about your rose. I don't know how many women know about the rose, but I would assume there are some, like some really smart ones. The ones that don't know just got lost in fabricated ideas about what people's perceptions were about people that say and talk differently or look differently or behave differently. Like, I don't do weird things. Like, I can say weird things all day long. I can go off onto a spit and read. I can read one of my songs I've written. I've written hundreds of songs that are just totally weird and messed up. But you listen to enough of that on the radio, so I really don't feel how I need to do it. Because rap music is nothing more than rhythmic poetry. So I wrote a poem. And that's the only poem I want to write. I'm going to have to write more because I'm in literature class. But every poem that I write will be about the first poem that I wrote. I will write all my poems will have the basis factor of her period is like a rose. I may make a poem about a mirror because a mirror is in my original poem, but there is not going to be any foreign idea that comes out of my first poem on my other secondary poems unless it has to be able to be linked with explanation in my poem, because I do not write poems that you can't understand. I do not want to write a poem if people are going to sit there and have to take quizzes and do assignments on what do you think this means. Well, I don't want you to think that. I want you to know without having any doubt what I meant, because I'm going to write what I say and I'm going to say what I mean. Period. I'm tired of these guessing games on what the hell did he mean by that. I've had lots of my friends say weird shit to me, my brothers, my family. My kids have even said weird shit to me. So I'm sitting here for 2 or 3 years about something my son told me like 4 years ago. Actually, it took 4 years for something my son told me to set in and make me understand it. Now I know that her period's like a rose. I don't know if my son knows that. Because that's not what he said. He said something that got me to that point. I'm not going to repeat that because I don't want to be weird. But wouldn't that be pretty cute if a little 9-year-old boy knew that before I did? Or no, he was 8. He was 8. Like, you little gangster, you. Probably not. I mean, I could explain what he meant, and it was more of a consciousness thing, like by himself, because he has ADHD, and psychiatrists keep giving him legalized government methamphetamine in the form of Adderall or Ritalin to help him focus. And I have some conversations I need to have with him about ADHD, about how his body feels. How his body feels behind his head, because he doesn't have enough dopamine being produced from his pineal gland, which is called the third eyeball, and it's on top of his brainstem. And I consider the fact that I'm not even going to explain anymore, because this is a conversation I'm going to have with him one day before I die. Whether he's an adult or not, he needs to know the truth that ADHD is not real. It is not even a diagnosis in France. Attention deficit hypertensive disorder, or ADD, attention deficit disorder, means he does not. Okay, well, I don't know. Well, we'll go with both of them, ADHD and ADD. ADD means attention deficit disorder. That means he does not get the proper amount of positive attention that he feels he needs, even though it may not be what he really does need. Attention hypertensity disorder, attention deficit hypertensity disorder. That just means the previous definition for the ADD that I said, but he acts all crazy and wired like he can't sit still as a coping mechanism to deal with the fact that he can't focus on certain subjects like math, science, and social studies. He does not know how to pertain math and science and social studies into reality outside of the classroom. Forget what they're teaching you in school. How do you relate social studies when you walk home from school from a friend's house that you've only been to once? How do you use science to fix the toaster that you broke? How do you use math to figure out how long you have to wait before you get to go on a date with that girl? That's the type of stuff that he needs to be focused on. And in time, if he's trained, and actually I would be making up quizzes and he would have homework about this stuff, and we would go out and do things to make sure he knew how to solve problems of everyday life happenstances by using those 3 subjects. But he can't, because he's not being taught. He'll learn one day. I'll talk to him. We'll probably have him watch this video. I'll probably end up changing this to, instead of January 4th, 2018, I'll put ADHD, ADD next to it. I can do this with every single mental illness that I have been aware of. You put me in a room with somebody with a mental illness and let me talk to them for a week or so, and I will have a video just like I said about this, because I'm going to ask them questions. Google knows all the answers to life, but they don't know the questions. I have the questions. Give me time to explain them to you. But you have no idea how much information. I mean, how many pages did I get to read? I read this before. The last time I was going to see my psychiatrist, my forensic psychiatrist gets you. She's actually license to study dead people like the show Bones, but she apparently got tired of seeing people's consciousness no longer be there, so she decided to go help people that were spiritually dead. So I brought this article in and I was reading it. I got to page, well, on my page, if I flip pages, it's page 3. I got to the top of page 3, probably the first paragraph, and I highlighted probably 3/4 of it. So many ideas are flooding into my head about why they're doing shit wrong, why they can't understand, why is we not being able to fix people's minds? Because their soul hurts, man. My soul hurts. I lost my wife. I lost my kids. I'm not connected to my kids emotionally anymore. That ain't my fault. I may have had some play in the situation where I was being weird too much, but maybe instead of pushing me away, it would have been better to actually just talk to me about this shit and make me feel comfortable instead of making me feel like I had to have a flight or fight response. So what was I doing? I was fighting. I was being scared. I was fighting psychologically by using words saying, I can say weird things. I can talk about the stuff that I want to talk about. I'm just trying to think. What I told psychiatry my whole life, I'm just trying to think. You can't give me pills to change my thoughts. Period. Unless you give me too many and I black out. So like, and now we're going to get into what I'm actually doing, because I want people to be ready for when I bring my outline to court, because this is going to be something that you're going to have to spend time reading. I will give the judge a copy to give to them. Read it. Read this and understand that I'm not being crazy, that this planet is in trouble. Because the second that we started carrying lighted phones in front of our face, the psychology of this planet changed. I really don't want to spend time talking about the psychology of the digital natives. Look it up. It's a real thing. Digital native is someone who was born with a screen in their face. My daughter and my son are digital natives because from the time they were babies and able to understand, to make memories, which was about from the age of 3, they had a cell phone or a tablet that they could have looked at, that they could have played with. Now, I don't remember if they did. I don't think they did. Maybe, maybe not. But that's not the point. The point is they're a digital native, and I have a lot of stuff to say for these people to try to get them back to the way it was in 1990, in 1994, before cell phones were invented, and I believe around, and they were invented in the 80s, but like when texting was invented and smart screens, that's the type of cell phones that damaged everybody. We should be allowed to carry cell phones on us, but you should only be able to make phone calls, no texting. That's what my first cell phone did, no texting. You make phone calls and that's all that's for. It's a phone, not a television. We do not need to carry televisions around with us any given time to get all the information about any subject we want, whenever we want, wherever we want. It takes away our impersonal ability to understand how to relate face-to-face conversations. It's what it does. This was a study and a survey that I did for my school. Didn't know it was going to be an outline, but I will gladly read it to you. This study is being conducted by your sociology and journeyology instructor, Jeff sorry, I didn't say last name, at my college in Nebraska. The purpose of this research is to learn more about why our community college students are taking social science courses on the web here at Central Community College. By completing this survey, it will not only lend insight to why college students are taking classes online, but it will also be used to improve the quality of social science courses offered online to future students. Your participation in the survey is completely voluntary. Answers and identity will be kept both anonymous and confidential. You do not have to answer all of the questions and may choose to withdraw from participation of the survey at any time without penalty. The expected time frame to complete the study is blah, 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 blah. From which college campus do you take the majority of your classes? That's not important. Highest level of college, I'm in my senior year. What's my area of study? Imaginal psychology. I'm a male. I'm 35. I'm Romanian. That's my ethnic background. I'm a gypsy, Romanian, whatever, same thing. I live in Nebraska. My father took some psychology classes. He did not graduate. My father is my dad. I'm going to call my stepdad my father and my dad my dad. Because I have two dads. So my mom's new husband is my father and my dad is my dad. Like, that's the way it is. Quit mixing up the words. So my dad is a upholstery man. He owns his own upholstery business. Or he used to. What's your mother's educational level? High school graduate. She's retired. Do I consider myself to be what political party? I made up my own political party. I call it honest or honestist. 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 And that is defined as honestly relate explanations about what policies in the government pertain to which people. You're making policies in the government that don't help everybody out. Greedy. You're giving the majority the better life because it works better for the economy with numbers. You wonder why there's so much crime going on. You're pissing off the people that have the intellectual ability to do shit, but yet because of their background or mishaps and bad stuff that's happened to them, they aren't able to get into society. People won't let me work anywhere because of my background. I don't have any felonies, but I'm not allowed to go work in a lot of places. So now the society has thrown me into jobs like McDonald's. I can go work in a bar. I could probably go work in a factory if I didn't have arthritis in my spine. But we all know by now that I need to be a doctor and have my PhD in imaginal psychology to help you people understand what the hell is going on right now. There's a lot going on and nobody knows the questions. If I ask the questions, you'll find your answers for the questions of what the questions were. Questions on the questionnaire, blah, blah. Why are you taking the social science course online here at this college? Please list 3 to 5 reasons. When I successfully bridge modern day psychology with imaginal psychology, the more I will know about the individually pertainable social problems that may not relate to everyone by taking this course. The better I can explain why the APA needs to accept my idea that our psychology of this planet changed when we started carrying lighted phones in front of our face. This will show them that I know the most about the digital natives' consciousness and subconsciousness. Sociology is an interesting class. I use it as an elective. How is taking a social science course online going to benefit you in your major? This will give me an advantage about how the digital natives process cognitive information, and I will be ahead of the game when I get further in my degrees. How is taking the social science course online going to benefit you in your career? I would say the more I know, the more people want to listen to what my theories are. The more money I make and getting a good career will hopefully make my kids proud. To make my kids' socioeconomic status to raise and make them proud of me are the main reasons I'm doing this. To be honest, everyone thinks I'm crazy because the general public haven't even heard of imaginal psychology. But like Carl Jung said, it is my duty to tell man what I find on my path of life. Even if it is not true today, it one day will be. Do you believe taking social science courses online are easier or harder than taking them as a lecture class? I don't feel that it is easier or harder for me. I would prefer to be in the classroom, but circumstances prevent me from being in lecture. Do you believe taking a course online in any college subject is easier or harder than taking a class in that subject, a lecture class? What has been your experience with this? Anything that has math involved, I would rather take as a lecture, as I always have too many questions and I get confused when I do not get an explanation right away. Have you taken other online courses at our college? Yes, I have taken comparative religions, introduction to sociology, and American government. Have you taken online courses at another community college besides or a four-year university? No. Do you believe you will be taking more online courses at this college if given the opportunity? Suspension from being on campus has prevented me from taking any lecture courses, so for 9 more classes until I get my degree, they will be online. Here comes the fun part. Do you believe you will be taking more online courses at another institution after your coursework is completed? I don't know. It depends on what happens with the visitation of my children. If I can't see them because my imaginal psychology can't be explained to my ex-wife so she understands that I'm not crazy, then I hope to move to Colorado and attend the University of Boulder, where I hope to get a full scholarship to work my way to my PhD so I can bridge modern-day psychology with imaginal psychology. What are the primary reasons you are taking other online courses this semester? I was suspended from school and fired from my internship after getting slipped LSD in my drink while I was working at my internship for the sustainability program. After, I wrote a 3-page essay on why analytical psychology wasn't real and tried describing how our 6 senses, consciousness and subconsciousness, would change once we learned how to travel at light speed and live on other planets. After work, I drove to the Grand Island Administration office and handed out 50 copies of this essay to all the administration by knocking on their door and rudely handing it to them, explaining for 10 seconds and then leaving to the next office. Also, after this unfortunate incident, I continued to speak foreign to people on campus and eventually got suspended, but then was allowed to continue, but only online because I scared everyone. I ended up homeless for 4 months and didn't return back to online school until the fall of this last year. I tried getting back on campus by doing my best to explain that I was okay and wouldn't behave like that anymore, taking full responsibility and understanding of why I need to keep my theory to myself mostly until I get my master's degree. I was told I didn't provide the proper information, which I can only assume meant doctor's notes and recommendation letters. I could go do this easily and get letters from all sorts of different academic background, respectable, reliable, responsible people, but I am tired of the whole thing, and instead of trying to clear my name, I would just let them think I am crazy and present myself better at my next school. There are just too many people that I scared talking about how our consciousness would change once we traveled at light speed and lived on other planets. Considering I didn't even know that this is what I was trying to convey in my message, I was so spiritually damaged by the drugs that I can only assume God made sure that I came out of it with something that will make me smell like a white mushroom.